Yes, welcome to another great episode of the Ashish and Friends podcast. Today, Dev and I are going to be talking about the Christmas games. Man, what a great Christmas. We had football going on, we had basketball, and we had so many things. But, unfortunately, these games weren't that great, right? This is like getting full. You run downstairs, Christmas Day. Oh, yeah. Oh, what gifts did I get? You open it. It's just a pile of coal. All five. You got 5 piles of coal, really, because each game was not close at all. Some games were a little close to start. The first halves, I think, were fantastic. The endings did not look too good though. But let's talk about it. We can talk about all of them, but we're especially going to talk about the Lakers and Mavericks games since we are big fans of those. I lost a bet to Dev. We had
Right.
I think the line was 6.5. You gave me an extra point, 7.5.
7.5.
I
Because
said
I think we both agreed the line 6.5 was like a sus line. Yeah.
it's pretty sus. Yeah, man. I was like, I need like 9-10. You were nice enough to give me 1 point. Clearly was
I could have given you 10, right? Maybe I should have.
probably should have given me 10. Still wouldn't have been enough here. But so I do owe Dev. I will, post a picture of me giving him dinner one day because that's gonna happen now. But let's dive into these games, Dev. What did you think about these games?
Yeah, so I think we'll just start with the first game, right? Pelicans Heat. When I looked at this matchup, I just was like, okay, this is going to be like a Heat win, right? We kind of knew the Pelicans aren't there yet, but man, did Zion and Bi look good. Man, if the rest of the Pelicans can get their act together, this team could be scary, right? Yeah. Zion does need to work on his defense. He just looks straight up lost sometimes on the defensive end. But yeah, it was a good game, and they played a lot of it without Jimmy Butler too, right?
I think that's the crazy part, right? Like the Heat were out to lead. Butler leaves the game. I was like, hey, maybe it'll get interesting. Nope. The Heat kept on winning, kept on scoring, and they won like pretty mightily. It looks like 111-98, pretty close. It wasn't that close of a game. But you're right. Brandon Ingram looks fantastic. Zion, I'm so excited to see him out there. He went berserk, 32-14. I loved it. I was just hoping, to kick off Christmas Day, we'd get a close game, but we didn't.
Right. But it is what it is. I think it does go to show you the strength of the Heat. Like we talk, so the Heat were in this like really interesting position we saw in the bubble where this is a deep team, and like they've been a deep team. They're like, and we just kind of get this memory of like the finals where Jimmy Butler went nuts for 2 games. So we think of like Butler so highly, but like this team is not dependent on Jimmy Butler. This team can win games without him. They can win when he's having bad games, and like that's a good thing. They're a deep team, and they looked great. Like, not much to it, I guess.
No, that's totally true. I mean, we saw that during the finals, right? Like they had Butler, they didn't have Dragic, they didn't have Bam for a couple games, right? And it's still competitive. Like they're a competitive team. They have, like you mentioned, depth, and that's something they really have and retain. So it'll be a fun team to watch in the future.
They got deeper, right? Like with Avery Bradley, and when I was watching, like at least in the first half, the Heat were winning, and I thought they were like the rest were destroying them, right? Like the Heat were winning in spite of what felt like playing against the refs, because it's like, man, anytime Zion touched the ball, like they're calling a foul, and I was like, man, I feel bad for these Heat players. Like they're getting a little screwed, but it worked out anyway. They just looked like the better team, which is what we expected. Going into it.
Yep, for sure. And they got that nice W. Start Christmas off on a great start for the Heat. Not for the viewers really, but good job for the Heat. Going to the next game, we even talked about this. We're like, Bucks, Warriors, probably the game we're looking least forward to. We saw the Warriors opening night. We were not excited about them. Actually, a pretty good game, right? Up to the first half, they were only down, I think, 10, 11 points. And I was sending you texts. I was like, not a bad game right now, right? Second half, totally different story. It was really hard to watch.
Yeah, so this game, like, I didn't even watch the second half of, to be honest with you. Like, I turned it off. So I was watching. So even with the Heat Pelicans, like by the third quarter, I had also turned off this game too. It was too much. And actually, like, I was thinking about this more because when they announced the Christmas Day schedules, like I follow a few Heat fans on Twitter, and they were very upset that they were like they felt like the Heat got screwed, that they should have been given a marquee matchup. Like, why are they playing the Pelicans? And I was like, oh, whatever. It's like, it is what it is. Yeah, the NBA, I think after watching the games, we can say for certain, the NBA fucked up. Like, this is wrong. The Heat should have opened, the opening day matchup should have been Heat Bucks. Like
Yeah.
that should have been the opening matchup, and then given us Pelicans Warriors, and both games would have been better. Both games would have been more entertaining. Um, I really think they did mess up the matchup here. I do think the rest of the matchups were all like should have been great. They
Yeah.
just didn't end up being great games. But yeah, after watching the game, we got that hindsight.
Right.
It should have been obvious, maybe even in foresight, that they messed up these matchups a
Right,
little.
right.
Yeah.
It looks like it. I think with the Warriors, I think when they made the schedule, they expected Clay to be playing, so it should have been interesting with the
Right. It could
Bucks.
have been a
But
great game.
yeah, but you're right. Like two teams that missed the playoffs in the West, Warriors and Pelicans would have been nice matchup, and then the powerhouses of the East, the Heat and the Bucks. I think that would have been better. But like, whatever, it happens. But I think the worst part is that all 5 games were kind of bad, so we're just like
Right.
picking.
If normally we expect like one or two bad Christmas games, and
Yeah,
like usually get like two or three great ones. Like last year, I mean, the Lakers Clippers game went down to the like final shot, right? Last
right.
year.
Yeah,
So like you expect like that's what Christmas Day basketball is. Granted, Christmas basketball is usually not the opening game or like the second game of the season. So you know, we knew the games were going to be worse. I didn't expect them to all be blowouts though. That seems unlikely. There've been a lot of blowouts so far in the NBA and a lot of close games. Just
right, right.
haven't been teams that like should be in close games.
Exactly. It's just not the ones we expect to be, in close games or the ones we expect to get blown out. It's
Right.
been wild for sure. All right,
Yeah,
jump.
I really had Sacramento beating the Nuggets at the buzzer, going into the opening night. That was obvious. I think if you didn't pick that, you're just crazy.
Yeah, man. I mean, the Kings I think are 2-0 right now as of this recording. They won by 3 points, I think, against the Suns earlier or something like that. It's been wild, right? Like they beat two
Yeah.
playoff teams. I mean, we don't expect this type of stuff, but I'm sure as time progresses, we all, get adjusted to this. Things will even
The
out.
the pandemic Suns have officially lost.
Yeah. Man, 9 game streak. The streak was amazing though, right? For all
Yeah.
9 games. Going to this third matchup here, the Nets and the Celtics. We talked about this. You asked me who I thought would win. I went with the Celtics. You joined. You're like, yeah, I think the Celtics. And then I jumped. I was like, yo, I think the Nets are gonna win. I'm glad I did that. They handed the Celtics a nice L right there, right? They won 123-95, and I don't think it was that close. Like Kyrie and Kevin Durant are freaking amazing, right? Like we missed it. We missed it last year. We kind of forgot for a second, but like when they're on, they're fucking on, and they look really, really fantastic.
Yeah, they both looked amazing. I mean, they both started both games. They've looked incredible, and we talked just about like how deep the Nets are, how much they have, and we talked about how good Levert has looked,
Yeah,
right, in his role. He had another like pretty decent game. Dinwiddie looked great as well, after looking pretty bad the game before. Um, yeah, I don't know. I kind of just expected the Celtics to be better defensively than they were. I kind of felt like when I watched it, like yeah, you can't stop. Like KD and Kyrie aren't gonna just like nail every three every time, right? Like I think they miss. I think between the two of them, they missed three threes. Like they went insane, right? Like that's not gonna happen every time, so it's okay. But like the number of just open shots they were giving up, um, we'll see. It's early game NBA. Defense isn't a priority yet. But man, the Nets are looking. They're singing.
they
Uh,
look really scary. Like you said, just give us some time. Kyrie will do his thing, mess everything up, but probably a team we slept on, right? Like we expect them to make the playoffs, but like maybe they're leading the East next year, right? Like we didn't expect this. And you're right, they missed four threes amongst them, right? And Kyrie went 7 for 10, 70%. Kevin went 3 for 4, 75%. Like you're like, come
yeah.
on, what is going on here? That is just wild. And yeah, I mean the Celtics just. I mean, you expect Tatum and Brown to do their thing, and they did, right? They both had 20 plus points. I think the supporting cast just didn't step up, and it just wasn't that good of a game.
Yeah, I kind of like expected Tristan Thompson to be better with the Celtics than he's been because he's a big upgrade over Tice, right?
Yeah.
So like he is a like look, I'm not the biggest Tristan Thompson fan, but like he's certainly an upgrade over Tice, but he's just not looked great. Like he's not getting rebounds. He's not, like what did you expect him to do, right? You want him to come in, get, 3 or 4 offensive rebounds, 10 points, and getting like 10, 15 rebounds a game, right? Like that's what you're
Right.
expecting from him. That's the role you need. And he hasn't really filled that role in either game.
I mean,
Look,
like you mentioned last time, I mean, it's hard to do it when you look like you're 6'2" out
yeah,
there,
yeah,
right?
true.
Let's be real. And you say you're not a huge fan of Tristan. I mean, who can be, right? What he did on Chloe, gosh, all these thoughts on Christian Mingle, almost what got
Almost.
Kristen single. All right, like let's
uh,
let's not forget that. But yeah, that was bad. I mean, let's see when Kemba comes back and everything's in motion, right? Like I think the Celtics will still be a good team, but I was just surprised, right? The Nets 2 games in a row looking really fantastic. Really can't wait to watch this team for the rest of the season.
Yeah, they are probably the like most exciting team in the NBA right now,
Yeah.
and I think that like they probably won't be come the end of the year, but like right now that is certainly their title.
Right, it's theirs to lose right now, right? Let's see if they
Yeah.
can keep this up. If they can keep this up year long, then I mean, wow, like what a great thing for the NBA. But all right, moving on into our matchup right here that we're
Yeah.
most excited for, and probably the closest game for throughout the game was the Mavs versus the Lakers. I mean, what is there to say here? I mean, it's really close at the end of one. It's 30-33. I was like, okay, Mavs are still in this. That's a really good score. And me, I was like, for me, I was worried about the spread right here, the 7 points. I was just like, come on,
Mhm.
let's get this. But I mean, Luca did his thing. I mean, AD and LeBron, they did their thing and they destroyed the Mavs. I mean, the first half, like I said, is they were only off by 9 points. I thought
Mhm.
going to the third, they had a good shot, but right when the third started, the Lakers built their lead. And I think from the third to the fourth, before the Lakers just completely blew them out of the water, you're going back from like a 10-point difference to like a 17-point difference. And like every time it went down to 10, I was like, oh, Mavs have a chance, Mavs have a chance.
Yeah.
And they don't. Then they got out of it. But I appreciate just seeing Luca and LeBron on Christmas Day is awesome to see. And I don't mind the L. I mean, it is the Lakers, and I knew after
Yeah.
losing to the Clippers on opening day, I mean, what could I expect here?
And maybe we can talk about the game that just happened as we're recording this a little bit at the end, but we kind of expected the Mavs to lose this game. It was kind of close, but I guess the story of the game really is the fact that like the Mavs leading rebounder was Maxi Kleber with 5 rebounds, right? Like you're just not going to win games like that, especially not against Marc Gasol, Anthony Davis, LeBron James. Like it's just not going to happen. And if the Mavs like do want to have a legit shot at the title this year, which I think we probably agree they're like second round contenders, maybe Western Conference Finals contenders, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure that they're like true title contenders this year. Maybe next year. But if they really want to have a shot at the title this year, they're gonna have to work on rebounding and defense, right? Like those are the two big things. Uh, Look, Luka is historically great. He's been historically great. He was great in all 3 games we've seen of him so far. Yeah, like he's amassing his MVP campaign already.
Right.
The 1 and 2 start not great, but we won't remember that they started 1 and 2 in 2 weeks. You know,
When you're looking at the playoffs, when the MVP is getting decided, you're gonna be like, yo,
yeah,
they start against the Suns, the Lakers, and the Clippers, right? Like, let's be real. Like, they're playing all these playoff contending teams. I mean, and like you mentioned, like the narrative of like KP's not even there, right? Like your number 2 player on the team's not there. He's doing his thing. Hopefully, the supporting cast can help him in the future games. But we'll definitely get into what happened today. I'm sky high right now after watching the Mavericks today. But I mean, any other takeaways from this Lakers and Mavs game for you, Dev?
No. So I think I did kind of have the takeaway that like man, like LeBron really is like managing himself, right? Like when I was watching this game, I'm like, okay, he's like taking himself out early in like he took himself like out at like the 6 minute mark of the first quarter, right? Or something like that. And he's doing a lot of chucking some threes, taking some possessions off here and there. I was like, man, this team is like very clearly like not ready yet, right? Like the Lakers are on cruise control, and I expect them to be on cruise control for quite a while. But I guess my big takeaways from the Lakers, this is like what we didn't see in opening night from the supporting role is what we did see against the Mavs. Montrez, Schroeder, insane role playing games for them, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the that's what we want to see moving forward, right? And oh, I talked about like all the rebounders the Lakers had. I didn't bring up Trez. Trez was eating on the offensive boards.
Yeah.
So it, the Lakers team looks scary. The Mavs team looks like they're going to get better, and I'm excited to see what they look like with KP. But just the problem is it's hard to talk about blowout games where we didn't see, because where you really like learn about if a team's going to be great in the playoffs is when you see like how they perform in tight fourth quarter games, right? Because
Right.
that's the closest you're going to see in the regular season to playoff basketball, right? Like it's those tight fourth quarter games. We saw it, like, even though they lost, we saw it from the Nuggets, right? In that game against the Kings, they looked great. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
we even saw it from the Rockets on the 26th, right? Looking amazing down the stretch, right? Harden doing Harden things,
Right.
and so, like, we just haven't had that opportunity yet with either the Mavs or the Lakers. Obviously, the Mavs looked amazing today, but you know,
Yes, they did. But yeah, real quickly, like you mentioned, Maxi Kleber with 5 boards. The rest, like, I mean, there's fours and threes. Like, no one else was out there getting boards. Kawhi said it best. Boardman gets paid. It's important to get those rebounds, especially with like such a big team, right? Like, you need your opportunities. You need to score. When you look at the Lakers, like everyone, 7, 8, 9, 10 rebounds. And like you mentioned, I think it's awesome to see Schroeder and Montrezl Harrell, the new additions to the Lakers, actually step up and actually do really well. Like this is fantastic. And like you mentioned, you expect LeBron and AD to, kind of take a chill and, probably miss a couple of games in January just to relax, take care of their bodies. And you need the supporting cast to step up.
so this is like just like an interesting thing because like throughout his career, LeBron teams are awful in January. Like it's just a straight up like it's just one of those things that like he's always taking time off, like he's always chilling. So with this year, do we expect that to be February instead? Like do we expect that to be like March that they're awful?
Right.
Like where do we push it back to?
Yeah.
I'm interested to see that, but yeah, I expect like especially for the Lakers, like post trade deadline is when we're going to start to really like see who the Lakers are as a team. But like
Right.
it's going to be really hard to judge them this year in the regular season,
Yeah.
and
Most.
we'll see. I still expect them to get the. I like look. We saw like we talked about how I thought the Lakers like they messed around a lot. I thought LeBron wasn't going that hard, and they still blew out the Mavs, kind of right. Like I expect this team to still lock up a 1 seed while messing around. Like,
Yeah, and I think this was best displayed. I think it was right before halftime. I think the Lakers had the ball. Is like 28 seconds. You saw LeBron pull up to the, like half court and take a three because they wanted like the 2-1 or something.
yeah.
And everyone commentating was just like, "What the hell was that?" Like, it was the funniest play of all time. Like LeBron literally just crossed half court and shot a three just so he could get the ball with like 24 seconds left. I was just like,
Yeah.
this is wild. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Lakers
And
look great.
LeBron hits them half the time he does it too. Like he does these wild things. Like this is just something you've learned. Like I've learned as like a LeBron fan for so long. Like you just live with LeBron chucking deep threes from now and then. Like it's just a thing he's gonna do. He's just gonna chuck them every now and then. You just live with it. Sometimes he hits them and they're demoralizing when they go in. He had a few demoralizing threes where against the Mavs this game where it was like, oh, the Mavs are on a run. Oh, LeBron just hit a step back three.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, like, it's just nice to see the Lakers, be there, get a win, nice W. I can't wait to match up again. Like last season when the Lakers and Mavs played, 2 out of the 4 were like super tight, right? Like, there's a third one I think the Mavs might have won, and the fourth one that was just a blowout for the Lakers. But I think this is a good matchup, and I want to see how this matchup progresses. Like I said, KP is coming back in January. I want to see the Lakers and Mavs play again and see at full strength how they do. But it was a good game. I'm glad your team won, and I'm glad you won the bet.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to the dinner
Yeah.
mostly because I just get to hang out with you, so it's good.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. Yeah, moving on to the last game, and then I guess we can talk about the Mavs game today after
Yes.
as well. Yeah, Clipper. It's actually a perfect transition, right? Because the last game was Clippers Nuggets. At the end of the game, we saw Kawhi get hurt. Like, look, if there's one thing I want nothing of, it's a Serge Ibaka elbow. Like, I don't want any. Like, give me into the next zip code. Like when Serge Ibaka's there, if Serge Ibaka's throwing elbows, like I'm in the next zip code. You know, I don't even want to be anywhere near the arena.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just an unfortunate incident. I hope Kawhi will be okay. Um,
Yeah, it looks like he needed 8 stitches. That
Mm.
sucks, like, on your face. Ugh. But yeah, hopefully he'll be back. I think obviously he missed today, the 27th, so he took a day off. He might miss another game or so, but I think he'll be back within the week and should be okay. But going into this game, I mean, Clippers Denver. I told you, I was wrong here. I chose the Nuggets. I thought Jokic would do his thing. He did, but
He did.
it just wasn't that close after one quarter. After one quarter is 32-26. I was like, all right, still a pretty good game. After that, not so close. And you saw the Clippers win. They're 2-0 after this, and people are like, wow, the Clippers look fantastic. And I even told you this, right? Like the Clippers wanted revenge. They wanted to get on this hot start. So it made sense that Paul George and Kawhi showed up, and they do look like a really good team still.
Yeah, and we had kind of talked in our season preview episode with everybody, like who did we think could like win MVP? Jokic is having an MVP season so far, right? I know the Nuggets, they're 0-2. Did they win since then? I don't know what they might have won a game since then. But they started out 0-2, but Jokic essentially had a triple double in both games, right? He
Right.
was off by I think one rebound against the Clippers, but Jokic is looking great. He's one of the most bizarre players to watch. He's so unique. I don't know if there's ever been a player like Jokic. Like we've seen passing like elite passing big men in the NBA, right? Like your Bill Walton. You talk about like Bill Russell, right? There
Right.
there've been some like great passing big men that have come through the NBA, but I don't know if there's ever been someone that size that can pass like Jokic, and doing it like operating from the 3 point line,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I think the fact that not only is he a big man that can pass really well, but like he's already doing so many other things as well and doing it at an elite
Yeah.
level, and that's just amazing to watch.
He's like there are a lot of unicorns now in the NBA, right? Like we talk about obviously Kristaps having that title,
Yeah,
Kevin Durant. There's a few of them. Jokic is a unicorn as well. Like there's no players like you. There's no player like Jokic. He doesn't play like anyone. You know?
yeah, exactly. And funny enough, if you guys don't know this, Kevin Durant's the one actually who called Kristaps a unicorn.
Yeah.
So, but that is funny because Kevin Durant himself, wow, what the
Yeah.
Slim Reaper. I mean, that is wild. But yeah, I mean, I think one thing we didn't pay attention to is Ibaka and the addition of Nick Batum, right? Like we thought they're nice pickups, but they've been playing really well, right? Even what we saw from Nick Batum with the Hornets, it was kind of like washed up bench player, but right now he's been with the starters and he's doing a great job. And Ibaka seems like the perfect fit for them, right? Like having a lineup that can shoot threes like from 1 to 5 is
Yeah.
really good for them.
Yeah, Batum was actually, I think, first or second in minutes for the Clippers. Um, so you're seeing like these additions are paying off, right? They're working.
Yeah,
And we'll see if they will work long term. Obviously, it didn't work today, but we'll see how it works long term. Um, I'm certainly excited. I do think that like to some extent this is the Clippers team we expected to see last year,
right.
right? And when you watched last year, at no point like yeah they beat the Lakers twice or three times maybe. They looked good from time to time, but at no point like Shahan and I talked about this right going into that playoff preview episode. At no point did the Clippers look elite. And so far this year, 2 games in, both games they have looked like the team we expected the Clippers to be, right? And that's
Yeah,
a good sign.
exactly. And even going to the bubble playoffs, we were like, yo, it's time to turn it up, right? We were hoping the Clippers would. And, all throughout the season, we're just like, yo, this team needs to step up. This is like the team, right? They're the favorites for quite a bit. And that just never happened in the playoffs. But yeah, starting off the season this year, they're coming out and swinging and looking really, really good. So it'll be fun to watch the same. Hopefully they can, keep this up throughout the season. But talking about the Clippers, they started off 2-0, great wins. And guess what? Their winning streak came to an end today, December 27th, Sunday, because they played the 0-2 Dallas Mavericks. And what happened here was obviously Kawhi missed a game. He missed today because obviously he had a bloody face to end the last game. But the Mavericks blew the Clippers out of the water just from the beginning. First quarter, 36-13, and I think Paul George had like 6 or 8 of those points. Going to the second quarter, 41-14. Mavericks were outscoring the Clippers 41-14 in the second quarter. It was a 51-point game, I think, at halftime. Wasn't even close. I still watched it because I was enjoying this. I don't enjoy this much of a beatdown because usually I'm out on the other end, right? The Mavs are getting beat down, but I just like a
You're
really
just excited to.
yeah. I was just excited because I was like, yo, Luka's gonna sit out for a bit then because like they're already winning by so much. I'm excited to see like the bench and the young players play, and they did towards the third and fourth quarter. So just seeing this whole game was fantastic. Like obviously Josh Richardson, someone I'm very excited about that's on the team. He did his thing. He was like matching Luka and his pace. Luka almost had a triple double. I think he was off by like 2 boards and 1 assist or something.
Other
He
way
had like
around, but yes.
yeah, and he just
2 assists and 1 board off.
yeah, yeah, and I mean Josh Richardson did great. Tim Hardaway Jr. like they're just raining threes, and they did a really good job, and just is just really nice to see. Because even without Kawhi, like they still have enough talent on the Clippers to be a competitive team, and the fact that our defense was really playing well and our offense was just fantastic. I mean, it's a really nice thing to see.
Yeah, what's crazy is that when you're looking at the box score, right? Like you pull up this game and you're like, okay, 124-73, that's a huge blowout,
Yeah,
right? And then you look and you're like, okay, game leaders, Luka, 24 points. Okay, he led the Mavs in points. He led the Mavs in rebounds, 9 rebounds. He led the Mavs in assists, 8 assists. Then I look over, okay, Paul George, 15 points. Okay, so Luka outscored their highest scorer. He
yeah,
out rebounded their highest rebounder, and he out assisted their best assister.
right.
So he kind of led both teams in every stat.
Yeah, and it's just nice to see. Like, obviously, that's not even like spectacular to see from Luca. So it's just awesome to see, Josh Richardson getting 21 points, and like I said, Tim Hardaway Jr. and all these bench players getting the minutes. Will Cauley-Stein looked really good. I mean, they put in Zubac, who destroyed the Mavericks in a couple of games, especially in the playoffs. I was scared. I was like, oh shit, Zubac is back. Like the whole Mavs team sucked when he was on the court, and he just dominated the paint. Luckily, we had enough big guys. Klebo was helping, and Powell was back, and Willie Cauley-Stein, they look nice in the paint, and it's just really nice thing to see because, like I said, starting off 0-2, this lineup right here, Suns, Lakers, Clippers, like you expect to go 1-2 at best.
1-2.
0-3 would not be crazy, right? So it's just nice to get a win, and hopefully we can get all these nice vibes and keep this rolling, and it's just fun to see. I'm glad we won.
And it was good to see too because like in the Lakers game, I thought Willie Cauley-Stein had a really rough game.
Yeah,
Like there was like I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 great dimes from Luca he just couldn't handle.
right.
And so it was good to just see him bounce back, see him get back into a groove. I imagine playing with Luca, LeBron, some of these players can be really tough because one, you're not expecting passes all the time. That like you have to expect passes in situations you wouldn't have playing with other players, right?
Yeah.
And two, both of them put some sauce on these passes. Like they're coming in hot,
Yeah, I
So
mean, you can see this throughout the games, right? When Luca's driving the lane and tosses it out sometimes, and someone sees it last second, they have to like jump out of bounds and like toss it to someone else because they're like, shit, I cannot catch this right now.
yeah,
But
it's
I
like
mean,
a good pass, but like they're not even ready.
right, that's exactly it. And I think this is like you could really see this in this game is just like that's really what the Mavs love to do. Like Luka's gonna shoot 3-pointers or he's gonna try to drive, and he'll either like get fouled or he'll throw a pass out, and you have to be ready and be ready to score. And it's just nice seeing Willie Cauley-Stein getting 18 minutes tonight, right? Like I think that's something Ryan and I talked about when we talk about the Mavs, but I think Willie Cauley-Stein's a really valuable big in the NBA and for the Mavs, right? I think he should actually be like the starting bench center instead of Powell when KP comes back, because I think he's a fantastic center, and the fact that he's actually getting minutes now, because think about it, he missed the playoffs with the Mavs last in the bubble, he wasn't there, and he barely had a couple games before the whole quarantine happened. So I think getting these minutes now while KP is out is fantastic. Like you see Powell, you see Kleba, you see him, they all got 18 minutes each. So they're just trying to see what works for them, and clearly whatever happened today, it's working, and it looks
And
nice.
they're taking the right approach. We have 3 players. We don't know who the best one is. We don't know like how much like we're gonna need of each player when KP comes back. Let's figure it out. And they're trying to figure it out. So far, I would say it's hard to say who has a lead, but if Cauley-Stein plays like he did today, maybe it'll be his job to lose.
Yeah, exactly. And this is something, Ryan and I talked about. We'll talk about in the future too, but like the rotations going forward, right? Like something we saw was with KP. I don't know. I think he's ideal 5. you should bring in a 4 there. So I think, bringing DFS as a 4 would make sense. And, like I said, if they want to go big or whatever, I think Willie Cauley signing Kleba off the bench would be fantastic. I think Powell actually still looks like crap. I'm glad he's getting minutes. Obviously, he's knocking off some rust from the injury, but like I said, I think it's just a great W today, and I'm just glad we got at least one win, and we're only 1-2 right now. So feels good. Can't wait for this NBA season to keep on going forward and things to even out and look better. But I mean, it is fun. I'm just glad we got Christmas basketball, to be honest. I mean, even if they're all bad games or whatever, it's just awesome to see. Because I didn't watch any football, even though like the Vikings and Saints played. I had no care in the world for that game.
Yeah, I did watch a little bit. Was it on Christmas, the Bucks game as well, or was that on the 26th? I can't remember, but like the Bucks were shredding, and that was crazy. That was a crazy game.
This is actually like yesterday, I think, right? It was on Saturday, right?
Was it on the, yeah, so I don't remember. I couldn't remember like what day. It's like all the days kind of blend
really
together.
confusing.
24th, 25th, 26th. I've just been watching sports, but man, like that was my big takeaway from this NFL weekend was like, wow, did the Bucks look good?
Yeah, I think yesterday there was 3 games. 2 of them were not close at all. Like, and the first one, I think the Bucks kicked it off, and it was like, what? They scored 40
I don't think Tom Brady played the second half.
It was crazy. I think Evans set like a record or something. Brady and Evans, they were just like throwing so many touchdowns. I was like, this is what we want to see, man. There's one more week. Hopefully they can keep it up. I want to see them in the playoffs and wreck teams.
Yeah, we were talking about this. Like I was talking about it with one of my friends. Maybe we can discuss it here at the end of this episode. Who are, like, the Cowboys are out of the playoffs, right? So who's the team that like you kind of like choose to root for this playoff run? I think I'm probably gonna go with the Bucks. Like I would love to see the Bucks win. I just think it'd be hilarious. Like that would probably be like the team I want to win the most for the Super Bowl this year. You gotta pick coming in, or the Browns. I would love to see the Browns win too.
That's true. Yeah, it's really hard. A lot of my favorite teams not looking so good right now. So like if I had to choose a team, I think the Dolphins winning a Super Bowl would be freaking insane. Awesome. They're still benching Tua, right? Like Fitzpatrick played today. Like they had to bench Tua again. So I mean, they got a W though. But like if they won, I think that'd be amazing. I think I'm rooting for the Bills, right? Like Stephon Diggs, new team. He's like, F you, Kirk Cousins. I'm out of here. Josh Allen looking fantastic. You want to talk about a team that has like no run game? I mean, that team's just fun to watch. They have a good defense. They have a great pass game. They don't even need the run game, and they're still like a really, really good team and a really fun team to watch.
Yeah, seeing Diggs on the Bills, right? It just I'm so excited for future Bills wide receiver Justin Jefferson, because he needs out of Minnesota already. I know he's a rookie or a second year or whatever. Like, yeah, he needs out of Minnesota already. Like this guy might be a top 10 receiver in the league, getting his time wasted by Kirk Cousins again. We already saw it happen with Diggs.
Yeah, I mean, Diggs was really like vocal about it, right? And yeah, Justin Jefferson's a rookie, right? And we saw this last week. He's like, God damn, Kirk, like you can't throw me a pass in the end zone. And like Justin Jefferson's breaking Randy Moss's records with the Vikings, right? Like this guy's super talented, has over 1,000 yards.
Records.
Yeah, it is ridiculous, and even he's tired of it. And it's his first year. He's like, I'm sick of it already. So I mean, so that's why I'd root for the Bills, though. I think it's just a fun team to watch, and yeah, I'm happy for Stephon Diggs, like really feasting out there. Of course, former Cowboys receiver Cole Beasley doing really well too. So I mean, yeah, I think they're just a fun team to watch. But the Bucks, freaking stacked. I want to see the Saints and Bucks in the playoffs. I think that'd be really exciting to watch. But I'm looking forward to it. So we got some NBA there. We're adding some NFL here too. Let us know what other games and what teams you're a fan of and what you want to see in the playoffs for the NFL. We're interested. We can definitely talk about that in a future episode. But we appreciate you guys listening. We hope you had a great holiday. Got to spend time with family and friends at a safe distance. But until next time, we're out. See ya.